As some of you may know, I am half Irish, so I obviously am exposed to a lot of Irish stuff. Potatoes, pubs, homelessness, etc. One thing about Irish culture that I have not tapped that much are the movies. I think I've seen like 15 Irish movies or something. Some of them are really great, while others are... Actually, I've seen only good Irish movies. I mean, there's a couple mid ones in there, but mostly only good ones. But even if Irish movies aren't that notable, there is one market of Irish film that is very popular across the globe. Indie animation, mainly the films of Cartoon Saloon. That is where the masterpieces are. Cartoon Saloon have made some of the best films in indie animation, or just animation in general. Now, even though they've only made 6 films, most of them are fantastic. And if you've seen my recent videos, you know that one of these films has become my favorite animated film of all time. Anyways, now there is an issue with this ranking. There's only 6 movies, 7 if you include Julian, which hasn't been released yet. And no, I'm not waiting for it to come out to release this video, to actually do it. If I do my normal ranking structure, where I briefly talk about the film, then quickly move on to the next one, this video will be roughly 25 minutes long. So, I have an idea. I'll review each movie normally, so that the video will not only have the illusion of being longer, but also as a way to torture myself even more. I'm a sadomasochist. So here it is. My ranking of every Cartoon Saloon movie. As per usual, I'll be doing it in a tier list, though I've omitted some tiers because none of the films will be there. Without further ado, as they say in Irish, Aligan ar dul. Nailed it. The Secret of Kells. This is the first Cartoon Saloon film, released in 2009. It was the world's first demonstration to what this little Irish studio could do with small budgets. It got acclaim and was even nominated for an Oscar for Best Animated Feature. It lost, obviously, to Up. But the fact that an animation studio, on first try, got acknowledged by the awards committees was something to behold. The film takes place in 9th century Ireland and follows a young boy named Brendan who lives in the Abbey of Kells, where the iconic Book of Kells, a famous Irish piece of iconography, was kept. His uncle, Kellach, is the abbot and is building a tall wall, good rhyming, to block out the Vikings. Due to this, he's quite hard on Brendan often, and doesn't show his affection that much. When the writer of the Book of Iona, Aidan and his cat Pangarban, arrive in the monastery, Brendan becomes mystified by the man and the book. While venturing out into the forest to find the gallnuts, which are something to help with the book, I believe. I forgot. That was like multiple months ago. He meets shape-shifting forest fairy Aisling, and the two become friends. Now, Brendan and Aidan hope to finish the book before the Vikings arrive. To be honest, I don't get all the praises with this movie. I will admit that it is a decent first movie. The idea is really interesting and has a lot of potential. Seeing a story about how the Book of Kells was made is a great idea, especially in Ireland. However, it just falls short of the pretty okay story. It's not a bad story or anything, I just wish it was more fleshed out. That is mainly due to the pacing. This movie is only a measly 79 minutes long, and you definitely feel like that. Like, it goes so fast you don't even realize that it's already over. This leads to the mythology not being super fleshed out either. A lot of the time, it feels like the film keeps chugging along without putting that much detail into the world. Speaking of not putting that much detail, the animation. I'm very mixed on the animation because sometimes it's up to snuff with the stuff from films like Song of the Sea and Wolfwalkers, while other times it feels very cheap and loose, which is not what I would associate with Cartoon Saloon. There are, however, a lot of incredible shots in this movie, as well as beautiful colors, nice designs, and amazing backgrounds. Like the colors during the final battle where the red sky contrasts against the black night and white ground are phenomenal, and foreshadows how incredible the animation by the studio would become. I also, in the animation, like how the background sort of give off a more flash, even flatter aesthetic, like it's sort of a painting or whatever. On other things I liked, the voice acting is great. Curtin Saloon has a knack for hiring very talented kids to voice act. It also doesn't feel morally wrong. After watching BoJack Horseman, hearing kids or seeing kids in sitcoms are voice acting all the time, it just makes me scared for them. Anyways, Brendan Gleeson is also in this, and he's great as per usual. He really captures the obsession that Kellogg has for building this stupid f***ing wall that does absolutely nothing. The music is also hauntingly beautiful, featuring great implementations of Irish music in the score. The Pangerband song scene is the best scene in the movie for me. It's when all these aspects come together. I also like most of the characters. I like Brendan and Aidan. Their bond and chemistry really works for the movie. Kellogg could have been in the film more, fleshing out his arc more, even if the conclusion of it is sweet, and Pangerband is my personal favourite character. She's just such a sassy little bitch. However, I think the biggest waste of a character is Aisling. She suffers the most from the pacing problem. She's only really in the middle, and after a certain point she disappears and then never appears again. I mean, in her human form. She appears as a wolf near the end of the movie, that's really it. Her backstory is interesting, but I think if the movie was at least 90 minutes, it could have been given more attention. We also could have seen more of Aisling just by itself, but oh well. My final problem is the tone disparity. Sometimes it can feel really goofy and comedic, and then we get the scene where the Vikings villain is like, dude, either pick one or be able to combine both well enough so that they don't feel drastic and give people watching a tonal whiplash. Overall, this is a film that I wish I could praise as the fantastic first film everyone sees it as, but I just can't. I still like it fine and I do recommend it, but I'm not actively telling people to watch it like the next three films. 6.5 out of 10, and it goes in C tier. Song of the Sea. Okay, now this is my shit. This film is the masterpiece that everyone says it is. In 1987 Ireland, on an island with a lighthouse, lives a broken family. Ben, a young boy, is resentful of his younger mute sister, Saoirse, because she was born on the day their mother, Brona, disappeared. Their father, Connor, is distant and depressed. One night, Saoirse finds a white shining couch and swims in the nearby ocean sea with seals, turning into a selkie. When Connor's mother finds Saoirse washed up on shore, she takes her and Ben away to her home in Dublin, where Ben plans to leave and go back to Lighthouse Island. While travelling with Saoirse, he discovers more mystical things going on and finds out what his sister is and has to do. But he needs to get her back quick as she's dying from not being in the water. Let me get this out of the way. The animation is f***ing beautiful. The designs are adorable and well detailed. The backgrounds could be in a painting. They're that good. The movements are fluid and well done. The lighting is pretty, and the combination of 3D animation and hand-drawn is extremely well combined. I have no qualms with the animation. No qualms at all. I also have no qualms with this movie in general. On my first two viewings of this movie, I give it a 9 out of 10, and I really don't get why. There is nothing in this movie that justifies bringing it down to a 9. The writing is also tight and sharp. This film mixes the family drama and goofy comedy really well, a lot better than A Secret of Kells. It was able to mix it a lot well to the point where it felt like it was more natural as opposed to Secret of Kells. I really love it. It also has more interesting mythology. All these creatures are stuck in isolation, waiting and yearning to be freed. All the mythical creatures we meet are all compelling in their own right, but my personal favourite is Maka. Not only is her motivation as an antagonist justified in some way, but she doesn't feel like a mustache-twirling antagonist in any way. You can tell that she's in a lot of pain and that what she's doing, she knows, is kind of wrong, but due to what she's been through, she doesn't want to accept that what she's doing is wrong. Kind of like Alma from Encanto in a way. The human characters are also great as well. My favourite character is definitely Saoirse. Not only is she really funny and has a lot of great expressions, but she's also a deep character despite never saying a word. As a youngest sibling, I relate to the desire to be buddy-buddy and liked by an older sibling, but not understanding why they're always mean to you. Of course, not as extreme in this case, whereas like Ben isn't even nice to her accidentally. He's just always mean to her until his change. Speaking of which, Ben's arc of going from hating his sister to wanting to save her and becoming braver and more heroic for it is great. This film is ruthlessly depressing in some areas. As I said, unlike Secret of Kells, the film is able to combine lighthearted comedic moments and hard-hitting dramatic moments well. The dramatic moments are rough. I nearly cried at many points in this movie, but the ending Song of the Sea, performed beautifully by Saoirse's voice actor Lucy O'Connell, and the following scene where Ben is finally able to say goodbye to Brona properly had my ass in tears. This film broke me emotionally, and I praise it for that. It didn't crack me as much as The Wild Robot or Dancer in the Dark, but damn it, was it emotional. The voice acting, once again, is phenomenal. The story is well told and has lots of twists and turns, including the scene where Saoirse drops the shell that Brona gave to Ben, and for some reason I have Ben and Ben written in the script, I don't know what that is. Ben and Saoirse, showing his character growth, doesn't get mad at Saoirse and only wanted to see if she's okay. The pacing is a lot better and the music is incredible, especially all the renditions of the titular Song of the Sea. My favourite version of it is obviously the one sung by Lucy O'Connell, as I mentioned, but the others sung by Lisa Flanagan are also pretty good. Well, not pretty good, pretty great. Well, not pretty great, pretty fantastic. They're all fantastic. The movie's fantastic. If I really had to nitpick, I wish Saoirse was in the film a little bit more, but that's really all I can muster up for this movie. Overall, this film is an underrated masterpiece, and I wouldn't be surprised if someone called this their favourite Cartoon Saloon movie. I give it a 10 out of 10. Absolutely, you owe it to yourself to check this film out. It goes up to S tier. The Breadwinner. Oh goody, Cartoon Saloon's first, and so far only, adult animated movie. That means that the depression factor will be only amplified tenfold. The film takes place in Afghanistan in 2001 and follows a young girl named Parvana. She lives with her parents, her sister, and infant brother. Her father only has one leg, and because of the rules of the Taliban forbidding women to be outside without a man, she has to be at his aid due to her older brother dying and her younger brother being an infant, as previously mentioned. When Parvana's father, Nurullah, is arrested after talking back to a young Taliban agent, with no way to support her family, she cuts her hair and pretends to be a boy, naming herself Atesh. Her main goal is to get money for her family and also to appeal her father's release. At the same time, she, as Atesh, befriends the former patrol partner of the man who arrested Nurullah, Razak, who she teaches to write. Now, let me just start this off by saying that the topics of this film, including the depiction of the Taliban and the collapse of Afghanistan at the end of 2001 after 9/11, are very rough themes and topics to talk about, as they are of a political nature. Now, I'm not able to discuss these topics, mainly because I'm not at liberty to do so, and it's not my forte or field. Just, my advice is, learn about it through other means, and through smart means. But what I will talk about are the themes of womanhood and the desire to break free, the latter theme becoming more present in Wolfwalkers. These themes are compelling and interesting, as is Parvana herself. She's a very identifiable protagonist. She reminds me of Mulan in a way, not just the pretending to be a boy thing, but doing anything in order to protect your family. However, my favorite character is Razak. He's just such a kind and human character amidst a sea of despair and anger. Idris especially made my blood boil. He's the guy that arrested Nurullah. But Razak is such a great character up to the very end. Parvana's mother and sister are also great as well, and the scene where she stands up to her cousin is great, who's planning to marry Parvana's sister. To marry off Parvana's sister. It's a great scene and shows how strong she can be. The animation is similar to the previous two films, but it's still wildly different. It's a lot more, quote-unquote, normal, in that there isn't any manipulation of backgrounds or perspective. The designs and character animation are great, and the backgrounds are especially wonderful, even if they're not all like crazy angular or something. They're just normal. That's nice. There's some variety. However, the best animation bits are the story bits, where Parvana tells a story about a boy who would claim to save his village. They have a unique look to them, almost feeling stop motion in some ways. I love the colors during those sequences. And you can see some of them in the poster that you see right now. Obviously ignoring Parvana's face on the front cover. Just ignore that. These scenes are a good deterrent to the misery that encompasses the rest of the movie. Speaking of which, this film is a brutal watch. There are a lot of moments that are hard to witness, like the scene where Parvana's mother is beaten up. The scene at the end of Parvana's story where we hear narration from Parvana's dead brother Suleiman, who picked up a landmine thinking it was a toy and it blew up right then as he picked it up, was extremely heartbreaking. However, and I hate to say this, even though there are a lot of depressing moments in this movie, it didn't emotionally break me like Song of the Sea and Wolfwalkers did. Maybe the story stopped that from happening, forcing the film to be more kid-friendly, but I don't think so. I guess I just didn't emotionally connect to it as much as the other two. However, that's really my only criticism. Everything else, from the stellar music to the haunting ending, to the well-done pacing, to the unique story, make it an all-timer film in my opinion. Overall, this is a tough but well worth it watch, and I give it a 9 out of 10. It goes in A tier, right below Song of the Sea. This film isn't quite as perfect as that, but damn it, it's still an amazing experience. Wolfwalkers, S tier. You know it's going to be an S tier. Anyone who's seen my recent videos know that this is not only my favorite cartoon Saloon movie, but also my favorite animated movie of all time. It is just pure perfection from beginning to end. Everything about it works. The voice acting, the animation, the story, the writing, the characters, the music, the action, the tone, the pacing, the themes, everything about it just clicks. And it just makes it such an amazing film. Has some of my favorite characters, has some of the best animation I've ever seen. It is just absolutely one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. And definitely deserving to be in my top 5 favorite movies of all time. But I talked about it to death in that video, so go check it out. And the movie as well. The movie is just absolute cinema. But come back here. Actually, before I move on, I will mention this, however. There's a new prequel Wolfwalkers series focused on Maeve as a toddler. And even though I don't watch preschool shows aside from Bluey, obviously, everyone does that, I am absolutely watching it the second it comes out. Like, it's... Seeing more Wolfwalkers content for the first time in 6 years absolutely floored me. But funny thing, there was a joke on the subreddit about this. I don't use Reddit that much, obviously. I'm normal. But I do occasionally check on r/Cartoon Saloon. And some dude put a April Fool's joke where he said there's going to be a new spin-off of Wolfwalkers. And then I was like, you bastard. But then that was real, so... I don't know what the story is meant to say, but... maybe this show will help my emotions if that person I talked about comes back into the school in September. Anyways, 10 out of 10, let's move on. My Father's Dragon. Oh, my father's dragon, what are we ever going to do with you? The film follows a young boy named Elmer who moves to the city with his mother. They're financially struggling, and when his mother snaps at him, he runs away and discovers that the cat he found can talk. The cat tells him about an island where a dragon can be found. He travels to the island only to discover that the island is sinking and needs to be pulled up by the dragon. So Elmer saves it, only to find out that the dragon isn't that dangerous or scary at all, or cool, or interesting. He makes a deal that'll help the dragon, named Boris, become more powerful, while still hoping to bring Boris back to help his family. Meanwhile, the leaders of the animals on the island, Sewa, is desperate to get the dragon back. This film, if we can get it right out of the way, has a major tone problem. That's its biggest issue. To be honest, some of the dramatic moments has my ass tearing up, but it's undercut by the goofy humor and awful designs. Well, not awful designs, but the designs for some characters aren't that great. Like, imagine The Secret of Kells, but even worse somehow. It's a tone problem that drags the film down heavily, because it doesn't know what it wants, if it wants to be a G-rated kids comedy adventure flick, or a dramatic powerhouse film like what Cartoon Saloon is used to doing. Even still, this film tried to be Wolfwalkers by the final sequences, where it gets darker and darker, but A, Wolfwalkers actually had the first half hit that transition, and it made sense in the context of the film, and B, Wolfwalkers isn't a f***ing kids film. I mean, it is, but its themes, contents, and characters, as well as the darker tone of the second half, make it feel more adult. The dramatic scenes in My Father's Dragon feel more like a bad soap opera than actual drama. Like, that's the thing that annoys me so much. Like, it's so melodramatic. It reminds me of Hell of a Boss. And if you reminded me of Hell of a Boss, you're mucking it up. Even if it went in the more kid-friendly tone, or route, whatever you want to say, it wouldn't be good either way because the comedy and the kid-friendly moments are really dumb and unfunny. Like, this movie has fart jokes. A Cartoon Saloon movie with fart jokes. Well, I don't even f***ing know, man. Now, with that said, I think the disparate tone has to do with the fact that this is an American-Irish co-production, meaning that they couldn't have the complete freedom to make the movie more in one tone, or the way they wanted. Instead, they fought with Netflix over what the film's target audience should be. To put it simply, bro thinks he's Watership Down. Anyways, how is everything else? Well, for one, the pacing is slow and drawn out. The opening especially is painful to watch. It's so goddamn miserable. You're begging for the film to just go to the island already. The animation is equal parts really good and really poor. Like, the designs are a mixed bag for me. Some of them I like Elmer, the cat, Sewa, and Kwan, but others are really generic and dumb, like Boris, the Rhino Mother, and the Whale. The latter two looking like discount Puffin Rock characters. Boris specifically looks really out of place. You can see him on the poster. When we get to the big dramatic scenes, I can't take it seriously because of this dragon looks the way he does. It reminds me of the Amazing Digital Circus, except with that show, I can take the drama seriously because the designs are both good and work for each character. Oh, and the characters act like real f***ing people. The backgrounds and lighting are good in this though. The voice acting is mostly good. Jigwa Tremblay obviously smashes it, because he's just a damn great actor. The other characters fit their roles well, but I'm sorry, I can't f***ing stand Gaston Masazaro in this. His constant voice cracks absolutely annoy the shit out of me. I know it looks like I have it out for this fictional dragon, but trust me, I'm bad for hating. The character itself is fine, but Elmer f***ing sucks by comparison. Him straight up telling Boris that he can't be a real dragon after he actually finds a way to save the animals makes Elmer look really damn selfish, which, speaking of which, not really. I hate the forced third act breakup in this. You didn't need this to happen because they literally meet up in the exact same place they had their fight, and it sucks and I hate it. Guys, can you tell I don't like this movie? Is there anything I like about this film at all? Anything whatsoever? The score is nice. The other characters are fine. Except Kwan, he sucks. The ending, and also Christoph Dowd is overacting quite a bit. The ending is sweet when the film is dramatic, it sometimes works. The direction is solid, and the themes of believing in yourself and accepting things that aren't great. But what you have to do, make do with what you have, are good. But overall, this is a very weak film. It tries to be more than it actually is. It bit off more than it can chew. I can suss out a good movie in here, but it's piled under the mountains of mediocrity. I give it a 6 out of 10. It goes in C tier, right below The Secret of Kells. And look, I know it seems insulting to insinuate that these films are on the same level of quality, but trust me, they are miles apart from each other. Puffin Rock and the New Friends. I'm gonna call this the Puffin Rock the movie for simplicity. It's a wonderful day on Puffin Rock. New birds from a different island arrive and are welcomed by the locals of Puffin Rock. However, Isabel, one of the new birds, that sounds very wrong when I say it, being Irish, one of the new flying creatures, is nervous about living there, and as a result of trying to impress the locals, tries to protect an egg, but it ends up lost on the island. Now, Una, Baba, and the new friends, name of the movie, have to try and save it before a storm comes. Now, I do need to mention that I am a huge Puffin Rock fan. I watched the show all the time when I was young, and I loved every second of it. When I got to the end of the show, I hoped there would be another season, or at the very least a movie. However, that never came. Until 2023 when there was a damn movie. And then 2025 when there was a damn third season. Why couldn't this happen back in 2017 when I was, young age? Yeah. Oh well. Now that the movie is out, what do I think of it? Meh. I mean, it's good, obviously, but come on, it's Puffin Rock. You're not exactly getting any big awards here. The movie's pretty close to the show. It just feels like an elongated episode in some ways. Chris O'Dowd smashes it as the narrator. Watching ID Crowd and seeing how he is in that shit makes it look funny in retrospect. And the new kids voicing the original characters are good replacements for the original characters. However, I do have my gripes with the film. Mainly the story and the fact that there are songs now. Oh, goody goody golly gosh. I'll get to those in a moment. Like, Isabel's conflict could have been prevented if she had just been more open to others, rather than keep her emotions and feelings bottled up inside. I guess that's the message of the film, sure, whatever. But I also think that if she was more open and the egg got lost for a different reason, I think it would have been a little bit more well told. Also, this film is a musical, and a bad one at that. The songs are very generic and don't fit Puffin Rock at all. Like, the original show only had 1 or 2 damn songs, and that was it. And even then, I didn't even like those when I was a kid. I was not a musical person at all. Whenever there's a musical number in anything, I would either mute it or skip it. Preferably mute it, so I can still watch it technically. Of course, now I'm more open to that, but when I inevitably have to watch all 14 Land Before Time movies and listen to all the crappy songs in 13 of those, then I'll get back to you. But yeah, this is a musical now, and all preschool shows should be. Every preschool show needs to be musical. All of them need to be, because if we don't have songs, we don't have a show. And kids need attention because they're always on their phones, given by their parents. You know, they're too young to be given phones by their parents, and their parents are neglectful and don't know what they're doing with their kids, and they'll put them in front of an iPad all the time. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. So there are like 7 or 8 songs in this movie, and all of them are forgettable and boring. I forgot all of them after watching the film back in January, which that wouldn't really be a bad thing, but I remember most songs from all musicals, at least one song from each musical after I watched it. Like, I haven't seen Chicago in years, and I remember at least a couple songs. Am I going to hum them for you? No. The story is predictable and as well, but that's a given for this kind of movie. The other aspects of the movie are well done, like the characters, except Isabel, are likable and fun. Baba is still the best, and I will not hear otherwise. He's the goat. The new characters are also likable and fun. The animation is still TV quality, but it fits the show as well. It fits the show well, and the movie, so I have no complaints there. The film is short, but it's paced well and doesn't feel like it's rushing or dragging things. I was trying to reference Whiplash, but it kind of just happened. The music, not the songs, is nice. The film's tone is soothing and warming, the comedy is funny, and the ending is charming. This is an incredibly charming movie that's well made and whatnot, but it's nothing crazy. I recommend the movie and the show. It's a rare preschool show that's actually good for kids, like Bluey. I give it a 7 out of 10, and I put it in B tier. And that's the ranking. This may have had less movies, but God did I find a way to yap, and I'm going to continue. I may as well give my thoughts on the first sneak peeks of Julian, as it's coming out this year, allegedly. The film looks really good and unique, being a fun exploration of self-discovery from a kid's perspective. The setting is different for a cartoon Saloon, but I think they'll make it work. The animation and designs are really good, and I love the synopsis, as well as the voice acting so far. I'm excited for it. Overall, I love this studio. Not all of their films work out, or are perfect, but you owe it to yourself to check out Song of the Sea, The Breadwinner, and especially Wolfwalkers. Hell, I would even recommend The Secret of Kells. This is a phenomenal studio that I will be supporting no matter what they make. Long live Ireland! Also, I said roughly that this would be like 25 minutes, and I think it's 30, given from what I've recorded so far, so 5 minutes over. That was definitely worth writing a 20-page script for. God, what am I doing with my life?